Stu, how are you? Come on up.
All right. All right.
How you
Can you
doing
hear
tonight?
me?
Yes, I can.
First of all, let me just give honor where honor is due. I thank you very much for allowing me on your platform. You know, last time we was on a platform together was a little bit crazy.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, we got talked about. We got talked
gonna
about
keep the
real
preaching
bad.
down. I'm gonna keep the preaching down.
Well, Stu, there may be a time and a place. Maybe not Friday night, but I get your point, though. I get your point. I do. But
but
definitely,
I will say, because I have been out there in the dating world before I, finally was able to chill. Um, it is change. I will say that it has changed where a lot of the women is more open, a lot freer. Um, I think their mannerisms and they have taken on a um, culture that wasn't part of my culture. I'm 54, so when you start bringing up the old songs, I know them all. Now, I'm not going to say that you didn't have your a traditional woman, like that's I'm not going to say that, and I'm not going to say that the traditional woman isn't out here. So I'm not going to say that as well. I'm not the all or nothing or that 80-20 rule, but what I am going to say is I do believe that there is now a higher number of women that aren't ready for marriage. I'm going to say that that number is high because we've taken on words and terminologies that really isn't us. We've taken on ideologies that isn't us. Um, and I think because we've taken on words and ideology that isn't us, we've made it mainstream.
well, definitely. But the comparison that I give is that back then, and I'm not quite as old as you, but coming up, there was no mainstream. All these things that I mentioned were to be kept secret. You
That's right.
know, Aretha with the babies.
Hmm.
I had no idea Aretha had all these kids at what, 12, 13
Right.
years old. So all these things were being done, but we need to keep it hush hush. Even the Ma Rainey lady, as a lesbian in the 1920s, it's
Well,
more, it's more now, I feel like, because we have more people, but it was all to be kept a secret. Now it's almost like this ain't no secret. This is commonplace. This is what you do. It's almost like it's the end thing.
it's. I mean, because I'll say to anybody, if you study who, what is her name? She's a comedian. Uh, Mom's Bailey.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mom's Bailey. Outside of her show, is what they would call a stud. I mean, she
Okay.
was a known stud. Matter of fact, there's a documentary that Whoopi Goldberg did. Yeah, she's a known stud.
Oh wow.
Um, but on her show, she was Mom's Bailey, teaching everybody
Yeah.
family and everything else. But I think what it is that back then it wasn't celebrated.
Right.
That's the difference. Now, I don't want to always say it was shamed. It just wasn't celebrated. You didn't, even me, I had a child out of high school. That wasn't something you celebrated like,
No.
yay. That
No.
wasn't celebrated.
No.
Today, it's like we having parties over that stuff.
We're gonna have a
Um,
baby shower.
exactly. You
You're right.
know,
But you know what?
and,
Back
and
then, it was shame because you
that's
knew
right.
then that you did something that you were not supposed to do, and
Absolutely.
you didn't do it again. But let me
Absolutely.
read this comment really quick here.
Okay.
It's Inya. Hi, I think our women need to be taught how to be traditional women from the elders who have done it. I agree with you, but I want to add to that. A lot of times when women have grown up in households where there are fathers and mothers, it's already being taught. It's
Right.
already something because most times when you grow up in something, you kind of we like sponges. What we see is what we do.
Right.
So not that they're going to be perfect in it, but most times women do want their dads. They do
Mhm.
want whatever the father has presented if he's there. So I do agree with you. I think it needs to be tweaked a lot. And I do think women, sometimes you'll go to college, you get a little bit watered down with what it is you want and what it is you can do. So I do agree with that, but that's a very good comment and observation. And I agree with you.
It,
I do think
it
elders,
is. And I think if I was to add to his comment, I think the issue, or I've seen in some issues, it's dual issue. I don't have a number on it, so I can't say what the numbers are. Um, One of the things that I'm noticing is mothers treating daughters like they're sisters.
yeah.
And I'm starting to see that a lot. I think the other thing that I'm starting to see is really, and this is both men and women. So this, I'm not going to sit up here and say it's a female thing. There's a strong pushback against elders.
You know, you're right about that.
There's a
But you
strong,
know what? Well, let me go a little bit further though. I see
okay,
it's a strong pushback in elders and in women.
okay,
Women too,
okay,
especially on YouTube.
yes,
It's a
yes,
very strong pushback. Let me do this really quick. For you
okay,
guys that are just coming to the show, make sure you give me a thumbs up, please. And we're talking about, have women actually changed, or are we just spotlighting bad behavior? My opinion is that they haven't. Over time, women have done somewhat of the same things that they're doing right now. It's just being spotlighted with all the new YouTube, Instagram, and things that we have now to put it on, front page. But this kind of behavior has been going on. I just really think that men need to be really, really smart and make sure, the elder men, and make sure that the younger men know what a good woman looks like. So if they do want to be married, they're making good choices, because it can be confusing, because I do know that men are very let's say appearance based. They like what they see. And
mhm,
sometimes that could get you in trouble. That
right.
can cause a lot of problems. So we got to make sure that it comes in a total package and not just what you see.
Right. And the reason I said, in the comments that there's been a change is because there's also been a sociological power shift. And there's been a serious power shift.
Hmm.
When I say that, one of the things that I can strongly say studying sociology is
Okay.
that a lot of women has taken on the narrative of feminism and yet don't have all the data to back up their feministic ways. You have a lot of women that has taken over in politics. They need to understand they control policy, not black men, especially in another political party. They're controlling that policy. They're controlling the narrative of what's going on in the family court system. And this has caused a serious backlash. They have supported Me Too. This has caused a backlash in corporate America.
Hmm.
Um, a woman now is they've stripped men, and I'll say black and white, but if I speak on the African American side, black men, and I'm a veteran, they have
Hmm.
stripped black men of their constitutional rights, stripped it.
Okay.
Okay. And when I say strip, if I accuse another man or even you of doing
Hmm.
anything to me, I gotta prove that in a court of law.
Right.
And if
Right.
I can't prove it, guess
Right.
what? You can sue me,
Right.
but you have the power to. You can sit up here and say, Uncle Stu did this, did this.
Hmm.
I'm not only going to court, my name is defamed, my
Right.
character is defamed. And even if I win in court, my life is destroyed and I can't do nothing to you. I can't investigate you. I can't do nothing. You have the power to say whatever you want without harm or danger.
I don't know about that part, because well,
I can show you over
let
and
me
over. Yeah.
let me say this here. Things are changing, but
Right.
I still don't think that's a new thing, because there have been many women who have lied, white and black,
Right. That's why I said it's not a color thing.
right,
It's not a
on
color.
men in the past. So that part is not new.
Right.
That has been going on. I actually think we have come a long way in that. Meaning, when years ago, when women used to lie on men about certain things, I'm not going to call any names of what they
Right.
do.
Right. Right. Right.
They were hung. They were killed. They were put in prison for life.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right?
Yeah,
So
but remember,
now, oh, go ahead.
yeah, but remember, they may not be hung today, but they definitely going to jail today.
There may be, yeah, there's some things that need to be done, some
Right.
things that need to be put in place, but still, who is that woman doing that is not new. You know what I mean? That's something that's
Yeah,
been going
yeah,
on.
yeah.
All these things have been going on, but what I'm glad to see, though, I'm glad to see that our culture is waking up and
How
being more
much?
involved. I'm sorry.
How much?
Not
I'm asking you, and I'm not doing that as a challenge. I'm not doing that as a challenge. Um,
They're waking
I'm
up.
doing that more from the struggle, because I come from the same line you do. And it's like, okay, I'm seeing the success on one side, but it's like, Lord, I'm fighting a monopoly on this side. So that's
You
why I asked you from what you see,
The
how
reason
much?
why a reason why I say that is because I come from a background of a man and woman, husband and father in the house.
Okay.
Husband, dad's in the house, but silent, very silent. Definitely an outstanding provider, but
Mhm.
mother was definitely the leader. You know,
And that's
mother
funny.
was definitely the leader, but dad was a provider. He had his presence. But
Mm-hmm.
what I saw more so in my generation coming up, which was a little was after yours, was more so the men allowed the women to lead and they were kind of there.
Okay.
Whereas now, you all, the men of today, modern men, younger men, they're becoming involved. They no longer they want to be involved in their kids' lives.
Mm-hmm.
They don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be, have an invoice for 18 years called child support.
Right.
You know, they don't want that. They want to be involved. I hate child support. I want fathers to be involved in these kids'
Right.
life so that child support should look something more like teach these people how to be parents. It
Right.
shouldn't be
Right.
give me $200. What can $200 do for a child? I mean,
Exactly.
this doesn't make any sense. It's some form of punishment. And I get what you're saying, but to me, to have them to want to be involved is moving forward. Now,
Right.
what took them so long to get there, I really don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
whatever woke them up did it. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad that everybody's awoke now and we can move forward with it. I'm willing, I always say I advocate for men because
Right.
I do want them to be in this world and show up correctly instead of always being incarcerated, uh,
Right. Right.
charged with something that they
Right.
didn't do, or, just, that's what's going on. That's why I reach back to the next generation because we got
Mm.
to be more intentional. Men used to just allow things to happen to them. I've
Right.
heard a man say to me, well, they say that they're my kids, so I just claim them. You know, an older man. They say that
Mhm.
they're my kids, and I just claim
Mhm.
them. What about the DNA?
Well, see, you,
You
you
know,
know, to speak in my generation, there was no such thing as DNA.
right? No, I'm talking about now. Though they still
Right.
kids. They might be grown, but they're still in a position to take from you, or they still in a
Right.
position to lay claims. They
Right.
still calling you daddy.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
know, I don't think that's okay.
No.
I think that's offensive to me to have some. It's not the child's fault, but
Mhm.
let's get this thing cleared up. But I have heard traditional men in the past to just throw their hands up. Well, they say it's mine, so
Yeah.
that's what I hear.
Yeah.
Hold on one second, Valencia.
Okay.
Thank you for the support. Thank you very much. But go ahead, Stu. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Um, I'm not gonna lie. Some of the conversations that I'm hearing is a more online conversation. Now,
Okay.
I do come from the Million Man March era because I
Okay.
was part of the Million Man March. There, we was more advocating for us coming back, getting in the community, getting in our children's lives, doing what
Right.
we got to do.
Right. Right.
Um, but then I always sit back and try to figure out where did the breakdown come from because I did come from two-parent home. I came from a well-to-do home. My father led, but by the time it sort of got up to me, I went into, some other issues
Hmm.
stepped up and crept up in my life.
Right.
Um, And I'm not.
Even though you were born into a perfect
That's right.
situation, some would say.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I came into domestic violence where
Mm,
I was the victim of domestic violence. Um, and so when I tried to get help and advocacy, I was on the opposite side. It was told to me I must have did something wrong.
wow.
You see,
Yeah.
so once I got through that, then I became the advocate to help other men who
Right.
are in that and going through that. Now, when I studied this in college, I knew why our voices couldn't be heard because of the political issues. In
Correct.
other words, the numbers was high when it came to men, but they didn't want to report it because it would push back against the normal narrative. So
Right.
usually what I tried to do, on and off of YouTube is really push back against the narrative.
Well, you have to empower men and let them know, let that ego go. It's more important that we take care of the problem than
Right.
your ego. Because it's happening a lot. It happens a lot. Guys, when you come in, make sure you're hitting, giving me that thumbs up. And listen, I would like to hear from some women
Yeah.
because this question is towards you. Have women actually changed, or do we just spotlight bad behavior? Because you know what? I know for a fact there's some good women out there. I know they want to be married. I know there are lots of good men, but it's like the bad behavior, the twerking, the stealing money, the conniving, the manipulation is just like taking over.
And
It's
then and
taking
then I'm gonna
over.
tell you, are we let me throw this out at you. This is what my encounter was. So I'll give you my experience versus the big narrative. A lot of my experience has been a lot of women aren't healed.
Are not what?
Healed.
Oh,
Meaning,
still. Gotcha.
meaning
Hmm.
things has happened in their past. And I ain't even talking childhood. I'm talking old relationships they haven't healed from. So I was finding more women who wasn't healed from certain situations and then trying to get me to pay for in so many ways what other men didn't do. And it was like, wait a minute now, this ain't working. And we're not talking 20, 30 somethings.
No.
I'm talking 50-year-olds who was
Oh.
like, well, I'm looking for a man to chase me. And I'm going, wait a minute. I don't chase. I'm 50. You don't know what you want by now.
Yeah, I hear a lot of immaturity also. Sometimes
Yeah,
people don't have that chance to grow up in relationship. They just, like you said, one from another, and then that does make them a little bit,
yeah.
damaged.
And
A
I
little
don't
bit.
want to sit there because I don't have no real statistical numbers and all this other stuff, because everybody want to throw out statistics. I'm going, well, I don't know how them statistics are because ain't nobody asked me any question. But, you know,
Real life.
exactly. That's what I know.
And
So,
real life means more because the statistics, who knows where they came from, who were they asking, who answered the phone on that day,
exactly.
who checked the right box, and did they tell the truth?
Exactly.
But
And so that's
you
why I
do know real
say
life. You do know
there's
real life.
things that I have seen that have changed, but I don't know where that came from. I can't sit up there and say, well, all the women, but I could just
No.
say there was certain things where it was like, I didn't know women do this anymore. And we're talking stuff I'm seeing on television,
Right. I agree with you.
internet, and it was like, oh my God, this. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. In my day, you still had to take the loose woman out to eat and still treat her like a lady.
Yeah, but that's what
I'm
I'm
being
saying.
honest.
But
Today, you ain't got to do that.
it's let's say that
I know
you
you try to be.
you know
You
the
got to
loose
make me take off the
the
cross so I
loose
don't represent you.
woman, the loose woman say you ain't got to take her out no more, but she still wants you to give her some money. So
Some shape, form.
that may be the equivalent to to
Yeah,
take her out in the dinner. But also keep in mind, back then you had to take the loose woman to the next town because everybody knew who the loose woman was and they knew you were married. So we couldn't do this here in our area.
right.
So there were some different things, but you know what? Now there are cameras at every intersection. So where can
Yeah.
you go?
And and, and you and, and you want to know what's funny? You would think with cameras everywhere,
everywhere.
with everything, that it will even be more secluded.
No, no. Something's going on with our morals. They're getting very low. So we're doing what they want to do. They're doing what they want to do.
Do you think, and I'm just throwing this out philosophically, do you think that our churches
Hmm.
has become so, and I have my own answer, but I'm just asking you, has become so watered down with the prosperity message that you can't teach morals because the people who makes these churches are so immoral that you can't teach them morality because I want the money more than I want you to live a righteous life. And I don't know if I'm saying that. I'm saying it to be sensitive for anybody that might be in the chat. But if I had to go there, it would be direct, which is the church is no longer teaching righteousness. Now it's you're okay. We love you as you are. Stay the way you are. There's no come in as you are, but you're not going to stay as you are.
Well, you said you had two parts of that question
Okay.
because the initial part was the prosperity message. I don't think it's the prosperity message. I think it's the church is more so judgment. I think you can teach more through your testimonies and the life that you lead through example. But when you go in and everybody is righteous, forget the prosperity, just righteous and in judgment, no one's going to listen. But if you could pull someone aside and tell them about the story that you had a child out of wedlock, you used to get high, I used to get drunk, then there is some relation there, then there can be some growth and they can see where they can actually go. Now that's my theory. Now, the next part that you mentioned was oh shoot, so watered down. Now, the next part is the word of Christians and Jesus Christ is love and all is forgiven. So they're kind of perplexed on what message they want to put out there, meaning the Holy Bible that clearly states that Jesus died on the cross for all your sins. And this message continues, but they want to leave out the Old Testament. They only want to live in New Testament time. So we have to get to the fact that you have to have your own relationship with whatever it is you're doing, a follower of Christ or whatever it may be, find out and allow him or whatever that energy is to speak to you to figure out what you're doing wrong or where you need to be corrected, because he doesn't correct everybody at the same time in the same areas. For example, I may get high, but my girlfriend may sleep with somebody. I can't go talk to her about her sleeping with somebody if I'm still getting high, because maybe he's dealing with her on something else. And then, I can't go be righteous towards her because I stopped getting high. I got to wait till he deals with her on her sleeping with her man, somebody else's man. So I don't think that the church knows this. I think they think it's one size fit all and all got to get it today. And that's not how it works. There are questions that are asked a lot of times in church settings. And if you are into it and you have that you think all things are spiritual, there are questions that come to you often, and you have to ask yourself, what would I do? I often ask myself sometimes, because I don't do bad behavior. I work dearly and closely with law enforcement every day, so I'm not the one to break the law. So if somebody says to me, if your husband, somebody, like you said, you gave an example, somebody said my husband did something, and the police came to my house or the sheriff came to my house and wanted to serve a warrant and say, I'm looking for this man, would you give him up or would you hide him? That's a question. That's a deep question, because what would I do? Would I give him up? Because most of the time, years ago, I'd be like, I ain't gonna have no criminal in my house. You better go get that straight. But as I grew up and I matured, and like you said, you learn some things. Some things are systemic. Some things are systematic. Some things are just not the way that they always look.
Right.
Or they're not always right. Like you said, somebody can say you did something, but you didn't. Right. So now I would tell you I would hide my husband. CJ 100, what's
Mm.
up? I would hide him.
Okay.
I know him. I know this man. And then
Mhm.
I would hide him, and then we would sneak out the back door and we go get a lawyer and say, we go walk in the front door, and then
Right.
we'll let them know we're there. Because now I know more. You know, at one time you sometimes you be on fire for the word, but you ain't really got that. You don't really understand what God is trying to tell you. You just reading
Right.
the word and you just trying to fix your life and trying to
Right.
get it all right. And it's not quite making sense. You failing every day, 20 million times a day if you tell the truth,
Right.
you know. And when it's like that, you just not good. You're not feeling good because you broken, because you can't get it right.
Mhm.
Ain't gonna tell nobody because they're gonna tell you you're wrong, you
Right.
know. And you have to build that relationship yourself and
Right.
figure out, and then definitely get someone that can mentor you and help you with your questions, of course. But it's just that's what the church is lacking. It don't have enough mentors to tell you what it, for me, in my opinion, to
Mhm.
tell you
Mhm.
the way to go. Most of the time it's all total judgment, and
Mhm.
she need to be doing this and she need to be doing that, really, so it's just one of those things, and you have to have compassion for people, because sometimes
Mhm.
people just don't get it,
Yeah.
and you have to know when they're not getting it instead of passing that judgment. So that's what I think has happened to the church. It's just watered down. We don't, because you listen, I'm from the day we used to go to camp meetings on Friday night. We used to do, every day there was something that we had to attend. We had
Look, I'm about to tease you. Look, I'm about to tease you. You sure you black?
yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that was the
But
thing,
but
and you
but
enjoyed it,
right.
But it's just that the days of that are gone, because, like I said, we're no longer in the Old Testament. We're now in the
Mhm.
New Testament, and that's what people hang their hats on,
Mhm.
and hopefully that gets them where they need to go. Hopefully, I
Hopefully.
don't know,
Yeah. No, I have a degree in theology, so I've been blessed to study Old New Testament, travel, in and out the military. So I just wanted your opinion. That to
I hope I,
me,
I hope I gave it to you.
you did because I don't always. A lot of people may think that, because I don't always debate. Like on my platform, I'm just the
No,
intellectual. I
no,
don't like to debate. I am okay. Let me understand your side. Let me try to get your perspective.
right.
Let me try to understand your experience. Now, if your experience is lining up, even if I disagree with it, if it's making some kind of sense, it's like, okay, I disagree, but I understand how they got from point A to point C.
All right.
I can roll with you. But if you starting off at point A and I can't figure out how you got to C, I'm gonna scratch my head where it don't itch.
Well, that's where the compassion come in at. That's where you
Yeah.
you start, you start praying for that discernment, and that, so you can learn how to speak to that person. Because
But you want to
you
know
have
what?
to see them.
But I'm gonna tell you where I got humble. One
Oh,
of those two people we was on a platform with
right.
subscribed to me, and I was like, okay, I got you. You
Right.
like
So
when you start
yeah.
hearing my message, I'm gonna get you. Yeah.
So listen, Stu. Let me tell you this.
Okay.
Sometimes you need to hear the things that are not. No, not sometimes. All the time, we need to hear the things that are not being said.
Okay. Because I didn't go back over the video to see was I saying something wrong? Was I, because it just
Forget
didn't
what you
seem
said. Forget what you said. Just
okay.
go back over the video and
Okay.
hear the things that are not being said, you know, because
Okay.
sometimes people just need help,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
they
Okay.
need help, because we already know what you can do for them, or how you can lift them up, I should say.
Okay.
But right now, you don't even know how broke I am. I
Mm.
probably shouldn't even be talking to you about this. I really got some deep stuff over here. But
Mm.
since we just talking about this today, then I'm gonna talk on it. But I really got some brokenness that I need you to hear, and hopefully you can pick it up in my what would I want to call it, in my
In my speech, in my
unorganized
dialogue.
thinking. How
Right.
about this, in my magical thinking?
Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
In my delusion, I need you
Got
to
you.
hear my brokenness. And
Right.
sometimes when we take them to church, we can't hear it because you know what to say. You just have to hear the brokenness and the magical thinking. Delusion is real.
Right.
You know that, right? Delusion is real. So
Yeah.
slow down and hear the delusion in it and figure out how I fit, how I
Right.
fit. And that's what I'm here to do, because you have to figure out a way. You got to figure out a way to convey this without turning them off. You
Yeah.
know, you
And
know,
it's been funny because is I'll speak certain ways because certain would just come up in me. So, and it's like, it looked like a debate. Then next thing you know, hey, I'm over here and me and you debating. I'm like, well, I didn't think I was debating, but okay.
listen, let me make sure. Listen, guys, when you're coming into the chat, give me your thumbs up. If there are any ladies in the chat that want to tell us, have women actually changed? You all might think that you all have changed. I don't think you've changed. I think times have just gotten more modern. We got cameras everywhere. You got YouTube and Instagram and all that. But Marilyn Monroe was an Instagram model back in the 40s. We just didn't know it. So
I
I
mean,
don't think
like we said in scripture, there's nothing new under the sun.
nope.
I mean, we can
All
find them
been
in the
done.
Old
It's
Testament.
all been done. There you go.
Jesus' mama was one. If you want to go, if you go way, way back now, it's an Old Testament. Genesis 28.
Yep.
If you want to
Right.
go there, but again, we look at Genesis 28, and then we turn around and see the type of women that Jesus healed,
Right.
in the New Testament. So
Right.
it's not a thing about being ashamed. It's like you said, it's a thing about, come on, let me talk to you. Where you broken? By his stripes we heal, and we're gonna go through the healing process.
Though, let me tell you this: you're at a huge disadvantage because having a degree in theology and I don't know if you said you had a degree in sociology or not, but sometimes those things really hurt.
No, I'm gonna tell you what it's
Wait
done.
a minute. Did you hear what I
Okay,
said
okay,
though?
let me
It,
hear you
it
out.
really hurt because it takes away the compassion of what the degrees are about because you have the knowledge. So
I do.
as you get what I mean by
The
that? Do you hear
difference
what I'm
is,
saying? Okay.
yeah, the difference is, with all humility,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make me the authority. Or when I went to theology school, I didn't go to become a preacher.
Right. No,
I
no.
didn't go to become a theologian. Many that went was going to be a preacher.
Yeah, but
I was going to have a better understanding of the relationship, because in all of the situation I was in, I couldn't get relationship where I was going. And it helped me to facilitate a lot of my thinking.
yep, it does.
You
So
know,
listen, any
so
other
I don't want to take up your platform.
no, this is Stu. You know what? I'm one of those people. If we're doing it, it's not by chance. So I don't fight things, okay? I don't. I
Okay.
don't fight things. So if anybody's there in the chat that like to come up, ladies, I would love to hear from you all. Thank you for the thumbs up. Bowsy, oh, you know what? That's a new way of spelling boss. You know what? I'm glad I got help over here because I'm telling you, BAWSE. That's actually more letters than boss. So why weekend ghetto with Zen Master?
My
Listen,
people
I
want to
remember
change
you. I remember you. I'm giving you a thumbs up. So listen, today we're talking about, have women actually changed? You know what? Zen Master told me that he likes a modern woman. I remember him saying that. So I would love for him to come up and tell us about that. But the topic is, have women actually changed, or are we just spotlighting the bad behavior? And Stu, I appreciate you. And like I said, I don't fight what happens. So
Right.
I always think I'm in the right place at the right time. So, even on Friday night, even though it went way to the left.
It turned, for me, it turned fun. And when I say fun, it was just fun. And that's why there was times where I just got quiet. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, let
You
me
know,
just hit it. And it was even fun because if you don't know somebody, you don't know what they know. So
right.
it's like, even if you went to the Islamic side, it's like, okay, I'll talk Quran. If you go to this side, I'll talk this. You know, whichever way you want to flow, I'll flow with you, even if I don't agree. I'll flow however you want. But if I float in your circle and then you float back the other, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm tired.
Listen, as long as everybody left with a smile on their face, I
And they
was
did.
fine. Yeah, they did, and it
And they
surprised
did.
me. But I was just shocked. Yeah, I was like, "Whoa, that was different." So it was fine. It was just we got called all kind of clowns and everything else. I was like, you
But
had to be there. You had to be there. So it was fun.
yeah,
It was
look,
it was fun.
when,
You're right.
when, when the host shuts down and he goes into his own chat, you know you got props.
It was like I was like, I know I went back and looked. My eyes got so big because I got caught off guard. I wasn't ready for it. So, but again, as long as they left laughing and
Yeah,
smiling, I'm good with it. And I think everybody left happy. I didn't see anybody throwing down the mic or ranting and raving. I think everybody left pretty good.
they did.
And
They
that
did.
was what was
Nobody left feeling disrespected.
right.
They didn't feel like, oh, my opinion or my thoughts, wasn't heard. So, to me, it was just beautiful.
Kind of. Now, wait a minute. There was one
One
fella.
man went to the left on me.
One fella felt like we didn't get it.
Yeah, yeah,
I have
just
to give him
one.
that. I have to
But
give him that.
but the one that I said became my sub,
Yeah, yeah,
that's the one that, when I said, oh, got triggered by the boss word,
yeah.
he
He
became
did get
yes, yes.
yeah.
Do you know how shocked I was? Like, dang, I wouldn't have expected him, of anybody on that panel. But it allowed me a little bit more humility,
Yep.
because it was like, okay, Lord, whatever I said, something got planted.
Yep.
I ain't even mad, and I wasn't even mad at him. It was like, brother,
No, no, no. I actually understood him. I know I
yeah,
want he kind of his I think his Wi-Fi probably dropped or whatever, but I actually understood him. In the
I
end, I
did
actually
too.
understood exactly what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
But I thought he was kind of funny. So I didn't take, it was
Yeah.
all pretty good.
And to me, the more he kept smiling, the more I kept saying, are
Yep.
you for real?
Yep. I
And
think he
I
was
felt at
trolling
that
all of
point,
us.
yeah, at that point, I felt, oh, he's just looking for different debates and arguments,
Yeah, yeah. I think
and it
so.
was cool because that's fun too.
Yep.
If you wise enough to be on a panel, debate somebody, and then see how many arguments they can give you with your argument. It's like, man, I'm back in college.
Yeah, and then I almost get knocked upside the head. And we was in person.
Yeah,
I don't know what would have happened. So yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it was good. It was very
If
good.
you can hear me, hold on, I'm just switching cameras.
Okay, okay. But anybody in the chat, we're gonna drop the link in the chat. So anybody that want to come up, please do come and let us know how you feel about have women actually change. Because what I'm kind of thinking is it's not the women, it's actually the men. The men are the ones that are actually changing. They're becoming more involved. They're getting smarter. They're paying more attention, and they're
Okay.
being more intentional.
Let me ask you this: since
Okay.
you say that, let's go with your argument because I haven't heard that before. If the men are changing,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm going to be in agreement with you. I'm going to say what I'm hearing in the manosphere and different sectors of the YouTube is awesome, in my opinion. Now, I
Okay.
don't have to agree with every single thing because I'm never going to agree 100, but I do like the atmosphere. And I tell anybody, I'm not in the manosphere, but I'm going to protect it. I'm a soldier, so I'm going to protect their rights 100%.
Okay.
And because I know that they don't really have space to really talk as men anymore, I'm going to give them that. But hearing it from your side, my question would be, if now the men are able to speak up, now they're able to express their First Amendment rights, now they're able to demand that they want to be with their children, now they're demanding that they want to be the head and not the tail, they don't want this partnership. You know, they want marriage now. Where's the disconnect that you see on your side? Like I can speak as a male, where I can look at certain men and say, he's ready, he's not.
Well, the disconnect that I see is that the men, I'm going to say men because you're the leaders and you're the
Right.
head. I see that a lot of times they're not ready because marriage for me is it.
Right.
So when you go into that relationship of marriage, you have to be totally mentally ready and say to yourself, I got to get this right because this is it. There's no out. And see,
Okay.
when you go through about what 7 stages of being married, you get it, but you can't stop at 3 when it get hard.
Right.
And I think that's where the lack of preparation comes in, because I don't think people understand that marriage is for real, and that's it, because that the definition of marriage is being changed as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
um and if that's the case, then we need to stop using that word. We need to start calling it a union, so when men or women get tired, they can go on by their business. But if you're still operating in marriage relationship, you need to go where it's real and go through those steps of marriage and then stick in there, because there's no perfect person. There's you can't find nobody that's perfect, but
Right.
you yourself got to be ready. And I think what men are doing now, this is what I think, are
Mm-hmm.
taking it seriously. They're trying to say, okay, I'm gonna be more intent. I'm gonna be more intent about my mate. So if I have to be married, or it's best for me to be married,
Mm-hmm.
it's better if I find someone that I'm more compatible with, someone I love to look at, someone I don't mind being with, someone that is cooperating with me, someone that doesn't mind taking care of me.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, if generations before us and our generations too,
Mm-hmm.
if a man got a woman pregnant, dad set that man down and said, "You're going to marry that woman."
Mm-hmm. Gonna honor her is the word.
Yeah, and there may have not been any intentions there. I mean, of course, there was some attraction,
Mm-hmm.
but she was made a wife. And
Right.
so, when that makes it a little harder to say, okay, we're gonna grow old together, but you just definitely didn't have a choice. So when I hear Amira say that she's arranged marriages per se, some of our marriages were arranged.
Right.
That's not a foreign thing. It's a
No.
little different than what it looks like. I mean, here in the West, it's a little different than other countries. But when a woman made a mistake and daddy said, "You're gonna marry her, or you're gonna have to marry
You're gonna
him,"
honor her, right?
yeah, that's an arrangement.
Right.
They
Well,
didn't
see, I think when the Amira situation showed up, um, I don't think a lot of people had enough history.
mm.
They
Oh,
didn't have
I get
enough.
you.
They
I get
didn't have enough history to really lay it out. For example, if you talk about quote, and I'm putting it in quote, black culture, there is no national black culture because I grew up in New York City.
you. Okay.
So Amira growing up in New York, I could have dealt with her differently than the argument of somebody growing up in California versus somebody growing up in Texas versus somebody growing up in Atlanta, Georgia, because they're culturally different. When I left New York and traveled the world, but started settling down south, the South was absolutely the polar opposite
Yep.
culturally
Yeah.
of the North.
Right.
So
Because
there's no way in the world you
no.
would be able to have that conversation if you're saying this is the way it's done here, and then they tell this is the way it's done. Now you got a culture clash.
So you
And I
saying
think
that
that
there's no real code? I hear about this code thing, and I'm from the South.
what part, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in North Carolina,
Oh,
and I've been in
I
the
lived in
South my
Greensboro
whole
for
life.
I lived in Greensboro for 17 years.
So
So
I mean, everything that I hear people say sometimes just goes straight over my head when I'm
right,
hearing women talk about, so it's totally different. I'm down
right.
here where, Jim Crow, so
Yeah.
it's very different because we don't take offense to being submissive. We don't take offense to hello and smiling. That's just how we live. So when
Right.
she comes and says what she says, I'm very receptive to it because, in some ways, that's kind of how I grew up,
Why
So,
you think? Yeah.
it's just that's just how it was. And I don't, I just think that that's just how it was. Listen, Zen Master, back in the day, Amira's father would have had to pay a dowry to a man to take her off his hands. Definitely. I
No,
don't
no,
think
no,
not
no, no,
Amira,
no, 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 no. I used to be a Muslim. No, absolutely not.
not Amira. Amira's wasn't like that. He just had to ask
No, the
permission.
husband has to pay the father of a
Jesus.
mirror a dowry. Old Testament, you had to pay the father a dowry. That's why they say Christ paid the price to marry you. You know what I'm saying? That's how that goes. So no, the father doesn't pay the son or a man to take his daughter. It's the man who pays the father to take the daughter. That's the only part I'm going to disagree unless he typed it wrong. But yeah, based on the way that's written.
But
But
even
you're
with,
absolutely right, because think about the pushback that Fantasia received.
I'm not familiar with it. I'm sorry.
Okay, Fantasia, as you know, is married.
Okay.
And I think she has her own YouTube. I'm not sure. But she spoke about submission.
Right.
And she got a big pushback. Now, because I worked in High Point and I know that, I
Mhm.
was in North Carolina when she first came up one, and I know the whole culture of just right there in High Point. And I'm
Mm.
going, y'all don't realize this woman came from up under a strong Pentecostal grandmother.
Mhm.
Don't get it twisted that she had a child out of wedlock.
Right.
There's some roots that woman has. And a lot of women have, just like you said,
The South.
they got that
Yeah.
South
Yeah,
deep
it's not
roots.
it's not uncommon. We don't see it
Right.
as a punishment per se. I
You
don't
don't see
see
it as slavery.
No, I don't see it as my husband having control.
Right.
I see it
Right.
as this is, what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going
Right.
to do this. And, so Zen Master says, so Islam and Christianity do the opposite as far as the
No,
dowry. No.
no, no. I love for him to come up, but the Quran and the Bible, especially the Old Testament, says the same thing. Um, we could go scripture to scripture on that one. They both say the same thing. The dowry is
I
in the
think he's
Old
more so
Testament.
I think he's more so inquiring, but the
Oh yeah,
the
it's the
word.
same. No, Islam. The only difference between in theory, or theology, the difference between Christianity and Islam is they see Jesus as
Mhm.
the prophet. Therefore, Muhammad came after Jesus, still seeing him as a prophet versus Jesus being the Son of God. They
Mhm.
also, especially from the Arab side, they are connected with Ishmael, where in Christianity we're connected with Isaac.
Right.
So if you look at theirs, they're going to tell you they're from the tribe of Ishmael, and they consider Ishmael to be the true heir of Abraham, where we're saying Isaac is the true heir of Abraham. That's the major splinter difference.
Zen Master, we got you. He says, I'm just asking for clarity.
No,
So,
you tell him you fine.
yeah,
I'd rather him ask those questions, and it goes back to what you said. We don't have open dialogue so that people can understand.
right,
In
right,
all that getting, get understanding.
right.
And so that's what that's why I even want him to come up so he can have that conversation. And I can be able to later on send him proof to do his own research, because I don't want people to think I am straight authority. So it's like, here you go,
No, no, no. They're embracing this. Miss Laverne Hicks, thank you for being here. So listen, for you all that just came in, we have the link in the chat. Go ahead and hit that link and cam up if you would like to speak to me. Or we have I've been calling you Stu. I've been cutting it down.
it is all
And
right.
listen, hit the thumbs up when you come in. I definitely appreciate you all. And tonight we're saying the topic is, have women actually changed, or are we just spotlighting bad behavior? Because you all are just getting here. I went through a list going back to the 1920s at the beginning of the show, where women have been showing out, doing things since then. I even gave the comparison of Marilyn Monroe being an Instagram model. What y'all
Mhm.
think? It wasn't she? Without
She
the camera?
was. He was. And had a president.
Yeah. Not just one, right?
He has a president.
That's right. Well, so and then there was a couple of ladies, Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion. They talking about some other stuff, but they were talking about making love too.
That's
Wait,
right.
1940s.
Oh, we got some songs that was just as rated X as they
just
do
as
now.
much, but they were a little slower.
Yeah. Zen
Okay,
Master. Zen Master. I did read the one on India. Bride family gives to the husband. Yes.
Okay.
But that's very old traditional, but yes, it still does take place. Yes.
So listen, that came from, I don't know if you heard it from the beginning, but that came from us saying arranged marriages, because in the West here, there were sometimes when a woman and a man got together and a baby was formed, but there was no marriage, the father would make the husband, the young man, which is now husband, marry that woman, so that somewhat was an arrangement, and it wasn't the intent. It's just what they had to do.
And we still got it. Is what a lot of people don't realize. We still have arranged marriages. It's just on a class system.
Right.
It's not race. It's on a class system. So if you made X amount of money and you lived in a certain social class, you couldn't just marry any old body.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like everybody has to understand, the Jacksons couldn't just marry Laquita out of the project.
Well,
I ain't being funny.
It's kind of like how it is now, don't you think?
Exactly.
So listen, Friendsgiving said, good evening, boss, chat.